It's time to bring out the computer. But first, imagine this. So you're getting ready to give your presentation. The audience is waiting for you, and you feel those nerves coming in. The lights go out, and you see your first slide appear on the screen. You can hear and you can see your audience roll their eyes and sigh. This time it's not from relief, but they're actually a little bit disappointed. The screen is too cluttered, the colors are clashing, and the text is just a mess. In that moment, you've already lost half the battle, and you're going to be fighting to get back that lost attention. Here's something you should know about your presentations. Your design is an extension of your talk. It either draws your audience in or it distracts them and leads them directly to their phones. And that's not what you want. That's what we're going to take a look at in this lesson, some simple graphic design rules and guides that you can follow. But first, here are some more common mistakes that we see regularly. And I think it's a great way to start off so you'll see why we do the things a little bit differently sometimes. We've all sat through presentations where every slide feels like a marathon. There's just this giant list of bullet points, charts, and images that are like covered all over the screen. These overpopulated slides aren't just hard to read for your audience, but at this point, they're not even listening to your talk anymore. They're just figuring out where to look first. Another mistake is just misaligned slides. It's something that only distracts the viewer, but it can actually subconsciously give a negative connotation on the content that you're presenting. Something feels off and just not professional. And of course, picking clashing colors. A lot of different presentations still use this weird contrast like blue and red, like something that really strains the eyes, makes it difficult to read, and your listener is switching between trying to focus and then catching up with what they missed from your talk. So recognizing some of these common mistakes is already a first step, but how do you avoid them altogether? So let's take a look at those crucial design principles that I think every academic should be aware of. Don't worry, the more that you use them, the more that these techniques and tips will just become second nature. It just takes a little bit of practice with designing slides. Let's open this up. As for alignment, every element on your slide should have a logical position. Text should align with images, and headers should consistently align across slides. Proper alignment here creates just a clean look and helps your audience to know where to focus first. Then comes the use of negative space, is something we also know as white space. It's the unmarked space where there's nothing really to see between graphics, margins, and other elements. It's not wasted space per se, because it gives your content actual room to breathe. It makes it, again, more cleaner, more balanced. Yes, for proportion, size actually matters in design. The size of the object can tell you how important it is, or at least hint at its function if you use it well. For example, a bigger font for headers. Now, it is good to learn how you can actually use proportion with these elements to fit this design and keep it more balanced. And of course, contrast, make sure that the important elements on your slides, they stand out. This can be done through color, through size, typography, like all different ways to make sure that one stands out of the other. Or you can use contrasting font sizes to show a little bit of a hierarchy between the two. When you're trying to tell a story like we did in the previous lesson, you also want your audience to visually follow along on your slides. And that's what I mean with visual hierarchy. So how do we get to do that? Well, first of all, you have to think of your slide as a map. What's the first thing that you want your audience to see? It's also like that blinking eye test. If you just blink your eyes, what's the first thing that really pops into view? Maybe it's a key term, maybe it's a really important image that you want them to know or an essential piece of data, but you have to use size, contrast, and positioning proportion to place emphasis on these important elements first. But then a pitfall maybe here, don't go too overboard with this because it makes it feel too heavy. Make sure again that everything balances out and the slide feels stable and organized. In the end, every slide should tell a part of the story of your whole presentation. If you can guide the audience eye starting from the more important elements, then moving at the same pace as you're talking, you've actually done a really great job, and it just takes some practice. Now, there's one last thing I'd like to discuss because when done right, it can actually really bind your presentation together, and that is repetition. In our daily life, we might think of repetition as, redundant information, something that is too overemphasized. But in a world of design, it can actually have a unique role. It can connect slides all together throughout your whole talk and create a more cohesive visual experience for the audience. However, like all tools, you need to know how to apply it. Repetition can easily become redundancy, and that's all about unnecessary repetition of content. It makes your content boring because your audience already knows what is coming and what is expected. Every slide and every element needs to have a purpose. If you find yourself that you're just repeating the same things over and over again, maybe it's good to ask yourself if it actually helps you deliver the story, or maybe it's just a filler that you need to slide in because you don't know what to come up with next. Last intermezzo tip here, I wouldn't include animations if you want to play it safe. Animations can make slides really come to life when you know what you're doing, especially in academic presentations, but they can also be a distraction rather than an upgrade. I've seen a lot of different presentations and there's always something that goes wrong, or like the animation don't seem to work at the right time, and then it just becomes a big mess and a big distraction, and it might actually throw you off of what you want to say next in your presentation. But the one rule that rules them all, if you know what you're doing, don't listen to me and just go break the rules. All these guidelines just serve you as, as a roadmap for creating good slides. But if you've mastered the basics, you understand the logic, you can really make your presentation yours and just do your own thing. Great innovations come from stepping out of the box. Just make sure that you know what you're doing first. Now, in the next video, we're going to take a look at how to apply some of these rules for a new kind of poster presentation. It's called the better poster. See you there.